Well, guess what? Surprise, surprise. I mean, really, is anybody surprised that Amazon is jacking up the AWD fees? 2026 is here. AWD fees are going up. So if you are like a lot of brands and you're just using AWD, set it and forget it, you're probably bleeding margin and spending more than you need to be. We need to be looking at AWD closely and comparing it to our other options. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Let's go ahead and dive in here. So what has actually changed for 2026? So the biggest hit is if you are using the Western region for AWD. So storage costs are up 19%, 0.57 cents per cubic foot, 57 cents per cubic foot. Transport is up 20 to 22% or $1.40 per cubic foot. And then you have higher per box handling fees as well, which are currently at $1.40 per box. So nothing to sneeze at here. This is a big increase for sure, and you need to be calculating whether AWD is worth it for you, if you should be looking at other options perhaps. So now every carton that goes through AWD, of course, is going to cost more. If you started in AWD back in 2024, it was relatively set it and forget it, just send everything in. But now in 2026, it's 100%. You need to be breaking down on a SKU level whether each SKU is worth sending into AWD or you should be looking at other options. So the worst hit SKUs are going to be slow moving SKUs, oversized items, and anything that's sitting in AWD for a long time. So if you have those SKUs that are only selling, 5, 10, 20 units per month, and you've got 6 months, 12 months worth of inventory in AWD, that's going to hit you hard. Slow moving SKUs are necessarily not a bad thing to sell on Amazon, but you got to make sure that you're storing the right amount of product in AWD. So that may mean moving some of that product in the future to a 3PL with lower cost storage, storing it in your own warehouse, storing it overseas in India, China, or wherever you get it manufactured, and bringing less over to AWD at one time. So you're not getting hit with those much higher long-term fees and storage fees in AWD. Oversized items, of course, because of that high increase of the cubic foot fee, that's going to hit you really hard. And of course, you're getting charged per case pack box on AWD. So oversized items are going to fit a lot less in a box than you're going to do with smaller items. So that's going to hurt you even more so because of the higher cubic foot cost for sending in and out of Amazon, but then also that per box receiving and shipping fee that you're getting hit with as well. And anything, of course, that you're storing for a long time in AWD. Amazon has been on this kick, with FBA especially. They first hit FBA. You used to send everything into FBA and just let it sit there forever. Amazon didn't like that, so they started implementing more and more and more fees to try to prevent that. They pushed us over to AWD, turned that into the set it and forget it. And now, just like Amazon, they're saying, okay, just kidding. We don't really want you to keep all your stuff here. And they're increasing those fees. So we're not just leaving a ton of product sit in AWD, unless it makes sense. Some SKUs are still going to make sense, which we're going to dive into a little bit here. So the mistakes I'm seeing that brands are doing so far reacting to this in 2026 is to just leave all their stuff in AWD and eat the increase, which of course is going to equal margin bleed. And that is going to eat into your profit margin over time. If you're not paying attention to this, your products can really hurt their margin. And that eats into your ability to run ads and compete in a highly competitive Amazon landscape, which, as we know, is just getting more and more crazy every year. So do not just ignore this and let your product sit there. Mistake number 2 is like, oh my goodness, fees are going crazy in AWD. Let me just pull everything out of AWD and send it to a warehouse, send it to a 3PL, whatever the case may be. And that's going to end up causing stockouts because you're not going to have enough product in FBA potentially. You're going to have those removal fees from AWD. And while they're a fraction of what FBA are, it still costs money to pull that product out of AWD. So you need to be running that calculation. Am I paying more by leaving it into AWD and letting it sell through an FBA, or is it cheaper for me to pull it out, put it into a 3PL? And of course, freight chaos, problems can happen with shipping, UPS, freight, LTL, FTL. There's always problems that you can run into there, sending and moving product around. The more you move product around, the more likely things get damaged, things get misplaced, things get misrouted. So don't let yourself get caught up in this and pick one of those two extremes and basically cost yourself more in the long run than what you really need to. So couple important things. Discount programs exist in Amazon AWD. If you weren't already aware of this, smart storage and managed storage as opposed to the base rate. So Amazon has the base rate, which everyone can get. And then smart storage is where you flow at least 70% of your product through the AWD to FBA pipeline. Plus, you maintain at least 70 days of inventory across FBA and AWD. If you do that, then you get bumped into the smart storage, which I'm going to see if I can bring over this tab here real quick. So you can see the difference in the smart storage going from the base rate over to the smart storage. That's about 10% off. And in either region, it doesn't matter. The box processing fee is the same regardless, except for the Amazon managed rate, which the Amazon managed storage rate, that is if you are using 100% Amazon. So to get this the Amazon managed rate, you have to be using all Amazon shipping, AWD and FBA to get your products in there. So Amazon LTL, Amazon paid UPS, Amazon AGL, whatever the case may be, you have to be using Amazon's freight and logistics completely to get this completely discounted rate, which is 20% off of base and then 10% off of your transportation cubic foot charge there. All right, so keep those in mind when you're doing the calculations for your SKUs as to whether AWD makes sense anymore. So essentially what I'm trying to get at here is AWD is now a financial model that you have to calculate and forecast. You have to determine if you're going to get just the base rate, if you're going to be able to get those discounted rates, and if the discount rates are going to be cheaper than 3PL or using your own warehouse perhaps, and if you can afford to do more of a regional mix. These rates that we're talking about are only in the West right now. It could change later, but right now they're only in the West because, of course, out in California, that's where everybody wants to bring in their products from China and overseas. So you need to do the calculation whether maybe it's worth paying a little bit more upfront freight to get your products to the East Coast or to Texas and pay the lower fees in those different regions. So you have to be doing this forecasting with AWD now to see if it makes sense. So again, the answer is not all or nothing here. Some SKUs should use AWD. Some SKUs should be in 3PLs. Some SKUs should be on the West Coast. Some you should be routing to the East Coast. Some perhaps to Texas and the more Midwest areas that Amazon has as well. If you model it correctly, again, you get that 10 to 20% discount off of those base rates, but you have to compare that to your 3PL. I'm going to put a video up top here that you'll see pop up if you want to click and do a little more deep dive comparison of AWD rates to your 3PL. You'll be able to do that. And down in the description as well of this video, there's going to be a calculator that we're going to look at here shortly that will allow you to model these costs a little bit better as well. Don't guess as we're going through these fee hikes. If you've been in the Amazon game for any amount of period, you know that these fee hikes happen all the time. And this is not going to be the last time that Amazon increases its fees. So you want to break it down SKU by SKU. Make sure that you're getting either the smart rate or the Amazon rate to get the lowest prices in AWD if you're going to utilize it, and compare it against using a 3PL or having it sent directly into FBA could possibly be an option as well, depending on your SKU. It all depends. You also got to be looking at your case pack sizes, because Amazon AWD, a lot of the cost is that $1.40 per case. So if you can pack more units in a single case, you get a little bit lower of a cost on AWD. So let's jump over to the calculator that I mentioned and just look at that real quick. You can pick this up over at AmazonStoragePros.com. I'll leave a link in the description here as well. We also do free audits if you'd like us to do a deep dive into your SKUs and see what might make sense, if it makes sense to look at other options as well. But let's go ahead and get out of this PowerPoint and over to this here. So this is just a little calculator that I made. Currently, it's updated as of February 2nd with the correct fees and everything, and I'll try to keep this updated for you. But you want to just fill in this blue section here. So the number of units in your box, the number of boxes in the shipment that you're sending in, the case pack size in inches of your product, the number of months you expect to keep it in AWD, and which region you're sending it into, and then which rate type, that base, the smart storage, or the Amazon managed that we talked about. And it's going to calculate everything and break it down to a per unit cost for you. So you have an exact amount that AWD is going to cost you per unit. And then on the 3PL calculator page, we've got kind of a calculator here to calculate your 3PL costs as well. 3PLs are much more complicated than AWD calculating. So again, I've got a video that I'm going to put on the screen here that digs into this part a little bit more, because you have to really break this down. Every 3PL is a little bit different, where AWD is more standardized, which is nice, but it can be more expensive depending on the product and the 3PL that you're using. So hopefully that was helpful. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Head on over to Amazon Storage Pros for that free storage cost audit that we talked about as well, AmazonStoragePros.com. And yeah, hopefully that helped. My name is Todd Welch with Amazon Storage Pros. Happy selling, everybody, and watch out for those fee hikes in the future.